definitely playing new songs. Like anytime I get to play a new song, it's always a high, especially if they go off okay.
Right.
If they fall on their face, it's not as much of a high.
Right.
But yeah, lows. Oh, I think there was a couple times, I hit a few clams and I got in my head about things. You ever get playing live and you hit a clam and then immediately afterwards you're like, don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up. And then you just feel like that like potentiates in your head and just gets worse and worse. And I eventually have to go, wait a minute, stop playing fearful. Just freaking play the guitar.
Right.
Yeah. Had that happen like at one point last night. I was like, because it was like a very like open spot, and I was like,
it happens.
It does happen. But yeah, that was a bummer. That was definitely the low spot. But then I eventually probably halfway through that next verse, I was like, okay, I'm in a good spot in my head again. Let's just keep playing. So, but yeah, I think that's hard. That's something we need to talk about. It's like how to not play in that fear mindset of don't screw up, in like the mindset for live gigs.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I don't either until I screw up, and then I'm like, gosh, dang it.
True.
And as soon as I screw up, like I fall into it. Like, don't screw up, don't screw
true.
up. Hey guys, welcome to Tone Bros. My name's Casey.
And I'm Colin. We're going to get started with the current topic of the day, which, Casey, you're going to talk about.
Yeah, so it's not ultra current at this point, but it's fairly current. Reverb.com, that we all love to scroll and find new gear to buy, and once every 30 minutes we're on probably.
Mm-hmm.
They recently were sold. They were owned by Etsy. I guess a lot of people were not a fan of Etsy owning it because a bunch of the charges and stuff kind of went up.
Okay.
The whole bump feature happened, and like they would charge you an extra percentage to sell things. Still going on right now.
Right.
And just the fees for selling on Reverb. It just went up. So, but Etsy owned it, which Etsy was a huge corporation, obviously done really well with Etsy, so they jumped in the music department. They have recently sold to a conglomerate that also owns, do we know who they also own? Have you heard this?
I don't know what you're talking about.
This conglomerate also owns Fender guitars.
Wow.
So they own much more than just that, but the people that own this also own Fender guitars now. Everybody's excited that it was sold from Etsy because they're hoping maybe some of these fees will die down.
Right.
Maybe some of the business models will change. And I'm kind of curious to see how it pans out. But also I'm kind of curious, if they own Fender...
Isn't there like a conflict of interest type thing here?
I don't think so. It's a business.
They can control the market, that's for sure.
If you own Sweetwater, they could probably buy Fender, right?
Right.
So,
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, it's an online sales place. It makes me wonder if Fender will be pushed more.
Right.
It also makes me wonder if some of the statistics we've been getting from the Etsy Corporation has been pretty accurate, so they say. It makes me wonder if the numbers we get from this corporation that owns Fender is going to be quite as accurate.
Right.
So what's your thoughts on this? We're both pretty big Reverb fans, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people kind of hate on it because they hate the fees and things.
I mean, that's annoying.
It's annoying. It sucks. But let me be honest. Without the Reverb being out there and the fees that you have to pay for that, you're probably going to be trading gear in, or you're going to have to be slogging it with Craigslist ads or Facebook Marketplace. And that is really difficult sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trading things in, you're not getting any value for your dollar.
Right.
So at least through Reverb, maybe you're not making as much as what you would make selling something on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, but you're getting more than what you would if you traded in.
Right.
So, and then sometimes you can catch a deal on Reverb every once in a while until the fees pop up and taxes pop up and shipping. But what's your thoughts on this? Do you think this could be a good move for Reverb? Do you find problems with Reverb?
The only problems I find is selling stuff. So like when you're buying it, it's pretty painless for the most part. Like you can see if there's a shipping fee or not. I like how you can see what the ratings are, if they're a reliable source, where it's coming from. So there's some things about Reverb I really like. Now when you're selling things, and I can't remember the percentage that they take now, but they take some off the top, and that can add up. I don't know. I don't have a problem necessarily with Reverb. I still think it is one of the best places to get the actual money out of your equipment.
Yeah.
I think it's great for that. I think it's, as far as like things that need updated or not, I mean, obviously I want more money when I'm selling it, but other than that, I really don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with necessarily Fender owning it unless they're like, and not Fender itself, but this conglomerate. I don't have a problem with it unless they're changing the pricing market. Like, even if they report things, I really don't care all that much. I'll be honest. Like, even if you say Fender guitars are outselling whatever's on the market, does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I'll have a problem if they're like, oh, this is a custom shop Fender. It needs to be sold for more on you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as long as they're not changing like the pricing of this stuff, I don't have a problem.
What if they change it for the better?
Like lower prices?
Yeah. So what happens if, since they own Fender,
We are talking about like a company that owns part of Fender.
yeah. So hear me out.
Going down.
Hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out. Let's say, because they own part of Fender, they want to sell more Fender.
Mm-hmm.
And now, since they also own this other platform, they don't have to pay any of the fees to this platform because they own it already. So they can kind of make their pricing drop slightly because now they're not going to have to pay for all these fees. They've actually got insight on what the company looks like. And if they drop their prices on Reverb, especially, which they also own, so they can sell direct off Fender's site, or they can sell basically direct off Reverb's site, could we see a drop in not all, but just Fenders?
I think that this is a corporation that will, if there is a drop, the customer will not see it.
Yeah. Maybe you're right.
I think they're going to take those gains for themselves and not worry about us.
Yeah.
Because that is how the cookie crumbles most of the time.
But what if they sell a bunch more because of that? Because right now we've got this whole thing going on with pricing on all these things. Everybody's worried about what pricing's going to do with all these different things. I don't want to say the T word.
I know.
But I'm going to say the word tariff.
Okay.
Everybody's worried about that stuff going on. I don't care where you sit on which side of the aisle and all that junk. We're not getting into that. But everybody is concerned and everybody's talking about this. Where's prices going to fall? Is things going to change radically or a little bit or not at all? No matter what ends up happening, if they own another part of this company that's also selling things, maybe it does help their bottom line out enough where they can keep their prices low or not change, or they can drop their prices slightly where everybody else is not falling into that. It makes me wonder. And then the other side is, are they going to change the fees for Reverb? Because when Etsy bought it, they did. They changed the fees. They added this bump feature and all this stuff where you can add a percentage more on top of that to get your product seen more.
Right.
So, and then they've got, you can increase it even more with ads to have it, you know, those Instagram posts that pop up, you know, for reverb.com. So there's all that stuff that's out there too. It just makes me wonder how it's going to fall. Do I think that we're going to see lower prices on Fender equipment? No, not really.
Nope.
Could I see a case where somebody says, hey, we could actually lower prices here and maybe move more product?
I think if that happens, it's going to be the lower grade products.
I agree.
The
100%.
the products that we
don't want.
We personally do not want.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it would be starter grade stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the Squire stuff. Or the new standard line.
Right.
You know.
Maybe Player Series would be like the tip of the iceberg, I feel like, for that.
Maybe so. We're definitely not going to see custom shops drop, you know, $800 or something like that.
Or production or anything like that.
And that's okay. I'm curious to see what happens with Reverb. I like Reverb as a platform. A lot of people like to bash it because of the fees and things. But I kind of take that as almost like a price of doing business. Like, I'm going to get more money for the gear I sell on Reverb because Reverb exists. Yep. Rather than trading it in or sitting around. You know, we don't live in a super populated area where we can put something up on Facebook Marketplace and it gets gobbled up really quick.
Right.
Sometimes things sit around for a while.
Yeah.
Even on Reverb, sometimes they do.
Right.
However, you've got a much higher chance, I think, on Reverb of selling something for a decent amount of money, even with the fees, than what I would anywhere else.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I like Reverb. Curious to see what happens. It is interesting that they also own Fender. Man, I'd love to see those prices. do something.
Don't expect it.
Or the fees. Even the fees would be cool.
The fees would be nice.
Like, I'm not saying get rid of them, because obviously they got to make some money. But if the other person's shipping it and they're just getting the like transaction fee, how much money do they really need in a transaction fee?
I would think there's so much product being moved.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, so we'll see what happens.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and move into my main topic.
Okay.
So my main topic today is talking about you've been playing guitar, you've been listening to music and all this stuff, and you just feel like you've hit a rut.
Mm-hmm.
Musically, you've hit a rut, and you're having a hard time pulling yourself out of it. We've all been there. I think I get there probably at least once a year.
Right.
At least once a year, I feel like I hit a rut for like, weeks on end, maybe a month. And I got to find my way out of it. I want to talk about kind of, it's hard to describe why we get there, but I think we can describe on how we get out of the musical rut ourselves.
Okay.
So for me, a lot of times it involves, honestly, kind of taking a break. And sometimes I've got to just take a break for about a week or so, and all of a sudden I get that itch to want to start playing again. And whenever I want to start playing again after not playing for a week or two, I generally go in to learn a new song from somebody I really like listening to. I'm not thinking about the next gig I'm going to play. I'm not thinking about I need to practice this or I need to study this type of thing. I go in just with the idea of having fun. But that break makes it fun again. Before I take that break, sometimes I'm just in the slog of it and I don't feel like I'm progressing any. I don't feel like I'm getting any better, which is usually when you are getting better, when you even feel like you're not. But also, just everything kind of seems mundane and like, oh, I'm playing the same thing, or maybe I'm learning these new songs and it's just G, C, D again. Oh, watch out, we're going to E minor, and like whatever it happens to be. That's kind of how I approach my musical ruts. What do you do? What do you kind of fall into? Are you like me where you have a musical rut like once a year at least?
So I have a lot of ruts. Goodness, I don't even know where to start. Usually it's like I'm bored. And not that guitar is boring, but like I feel like what my skill set is and what I want to achieve, I just can never reach there. And it's, how like you go from a beginner to like an amateur to like kind of intermediate. I feel like I'm at least between amateur and intermediate, I would hope.
I think you're an intermediate, clearly.
So to me, it's like, what are the songs that are inspiring enough or make me want to play more? And how can I attain that level that actually keeps me intrigued? I don't know how else to explain it other than like, I feel like sometimes I just play the same things over and over. Because, of course, we play shows and we play local gigs, so it's mostly covers. And you just kind of get into the same routine and same habits, and then you're just you feel stale.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't necessarily take a break with it for a week. I try to make a point to do something different. Like, whether it's watching a music documentary, whether it's listening to some music that I used to really listen to when I was a teenager and haven't listened to it for a while. Whether it's listening to an entire album of a band I really respect that I just never gave the time of day, like Steely Dan. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So a lot of times it's just me, if I can feel myself getting in a rut or I'm just not inspired, I'll just do something random. And that usually takes me out of it. Then at least I can go back to something and say, well, let me add a little flavor of this into my music. So I think it's not necessarily me taking a break as much as it is just finding inspiration somewhere else, even if it's like being outside in nature. And I know that sounds weird, but like...
Well, it makes sense.
Applying day-to-day things to my musical journey, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it applies. Like some things in nature apply to music, and I try to like think that through. And that's me getting a little heady, and that's usually your thing.
Watch out.
So I just do random stuff.
Yeah. I've had times too where then I just go in and I literally, it's play music. It needs to be fun. If we're in the fun business, right? I forgot whose quote it is, but we're in the business of fun. If you're not having fun, get out.
Yeah. Or entertainment.
Yeah. And sometimes I will go in with the term of, or the thought of, go play guitar. Don't practice guitar, go play guitar. And I'll go down and I'll hook up a bunch of crazy pedals or do something, and I will just go wild and just play for the sake of playing and be silly or completely out of my box. It's hard though. It's hard whenever you get like stuck in a rut where it feels like everything is stale and stagnant. Everything you play is so similar and stuff. But you say you don't take a break, but you go out in nature and go do something, go find something else like that to build inspiration from. It's kind of taking a break in some ways.
I guess.
Or I've also done the other thing too, where I've been playing a bunch of electric guitar and I will move to an acoustic guitar.
Right.
And that seems to help me. Lately, you've been playing some like fingerstyle stuff and working on that.
Right.
Trying, yeah.
It sounds terrible, but yeah.
And that's got to be really like eye-opening and like enlightening in some ways, because then you come back to your electric guitar and you're like, oh my gosh, I've missed this.
Right.
So musical ruts, yeah, maybe take a break or go find inspiration in other avenues.
Right.
Maybe just play. And then, yeah, I think it's normal to find musical ruts. How often are you in a musical rut?
At least once every 3 months.
Okay, it's fairly often.
It's often.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I can never be a studio musician. I play local gigs, and I think maybe that is why I get in ruts, because I feel like I'm doing the mundane thing.
Yeah.
If I was a studio musician, like, everything would be new, and it would be inspiring. So maybe that's why. But still, I don't think I would have the inspiration every single day in and out to do that.
And how many times has Tom Bukovac or anybody, Rob McNally said, yep, we're coming in, we're playing the same chord progression all day long, every day, and we've got to find new ways of making it sound interesting.
Right.
And while that is inspiring to some degree, trying to find something interesting, how daunting is that every day to come in with your same skill set, which those guys' skill set are through the roof.
I was about to say, also, they make it as unique as possible, so...
It's unbelievable. But there was a day when it was their first day in the studio, and they were doing it, and then 3 months down the road, they're like, oh man, I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
It's the same type of chord progression, and I got to find something new. Like, I got to find a new way of doing something.
Right.
Daunting, and I can't imagine what being a musical rut on their end is like.
Oh,
because
that's got to be terrible.
They have to push through. They have to make it through it while still making unique music.
That's something you can't phone in either. You know what I mean? So.
You can't. I would be really interested to hear their takes on falling into musical ruts, because I haven't really heard anybody talk to them about that.
Right.
But there's got to be a real thing. I think at Guthrie Trapp, he plays every Monday night pretty much at the Underdog.
Right.
And he plays a similar set list most nights. And it's not a million miles from... This sounds ridiculous. It's not a million miles from what we do. What I mean by that is, obviously his playing is far exceeding what we're doing. But what I mean is, yeah, he's stepping out and he's taking chances on these solos in different places in this set. But he's having to do that because his set is similar. Like, he's playing a very similar set, once a week at least at the Underdog. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing too. If you're stuck in a musical rut, but you're still having to play live often, man, take some chances. I think that's where maybe it builds upon it too. Just take some chances. Maybe switch the pedals on your pedal board. Like, completely revamp a few things. Take a different guitar, a different amp. Sometimes that's enough to do it too.
Right.
But yeah, that's interesting. I like that. You want to go ahead and move into your gas or pass?
Yep. So my gas or pass today has to do with Jackson Audio.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the Optimist Prime.
Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime.
It's the Optimist.
Okay.
Like you're optimistic.
Optimist.
So, do you know Mr. Corey Wong?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
witchu guy?
Wait a minute.
That's what he does with the guitar. It looks like... Have you seen the Wild Thornberries?
No.
You see, yeah, it's a cartoon from Nickelodeon in the 90s.
But
he was this kid. He looked like a mini Tarzan. He would be like,
There is Donnie. We found him.
That's what he does with the guitar. That's what Corey Wong does.
No.
He's like the Wild Thornberries.
You know what? I am going to make sure we run into Corey Wong someday and meet him. And when we do, I'm going to play him this video.
Yeah.
Of you explaining what he plays.
When he goes to the
No,
Strat.
no, I don't want to hear it again.
That's what it's like. But anyways, he's got this pedal with Jackson Audio.
Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed.
It's called the Optimist. And do you know what it's based on?
No.
Okay, because everything's based on something, right?
It has to be.
I mean, at this point,
everything comes from somewhere.
Right. So first of all, it's a standard like MXR style casing-ish.
A little bit larger, more like JHS, but
Okay. Anyways,
kind of this size-ish.
Yeah, there we go. Anyways, there's two switches. There's a left side, right side. Wow, that's really unique. Yep. But the whole thing is unique because one side is like a Klon, has volume, gain, tone. There we go.
Yep, treble technically.
And the other side is supposed to be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, from what I've gathered, it's Timmy-esque.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a Klon and a Timmy.
Okay. Yep.
Plus, it's got an EQ section, and it adds an EQ at the end of all those circuits.
Hold on now. You're getting my attention. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm liking this. Okay.
So it's got bass, middle, treble, EQ at the very end, and you can switch that on or off if you want.
Okay, so you've got 2 foot switches.
Foot switches.
We've got a Timmy going into the Klon, or Klon going into Timmy, whichever way.
Klon to Timmy.
Okay, Klon to Timmy. And then there's, if you step on both of them, is that how you activate the EQ? Do you know?
I think you hold them. I could be wrong about that. There's a definite chance.
There's a way to do it, though?
There's a way to do it.
Okay.
And you can switch it. It's kind of like preset-ish.
Okay.
And then you can actually get an EQ activated after the drives.
Oh, I like that.
So it's normally like $350.
Okay.
But it's kind of like 3 pedals in one.
It's made by Jackson Audio. It's super high quality.
But even used, you can find them out there for around $200.
Yeah.
And it's a Klon and a Timmy, which is up my alley. But the EQ, I thought, maybe it's up your alley too.
Yeah, I like Corey Wong too.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut all that out. I like Corey. I think his playing's great. I don't know if my overdrive sound and his overdrive sound are going to mesh super well.
So that was something I was concerned about until I found out about that EQ section.
I like the EQ section. I like the fact that it's Klon inspired. I like the Timmy stuff, but it hasn't lived on my board like it has on yours.
Right.
So for me, I'm reserved on this one. I think I honestly am going to give this one a pass. Oh, really? Okay, well, let me clarify here. I think I'm going to give it a pass. Reason being is I'm not totally sold with a Timmy with what I'm doing right now. I like the Klon style. I do wonder how they're voiced with the way Corey plays. It's amazing, but I cannot do anything. I can't make one note sound like Corey Wong.
No.
Not one.
Me either. I mean, I really respect him. My mind is blown every time he plays.
Every time he plays, I'm just like, the dude is the funkiest, coolest Strat player ever.
And the cleanest sound. He has the cleanest sound I've ever heard.
That, but he's amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
Like, I look at his hands and I think, there's no way that man can create that
his
sound.
Wrist. The way he no, don't do that again. The way he plays with his wrist rhythmically, I just watch in amazement. I had the chance to go see him last year, and I should have went and saw him.
You know he's with Mark Lettieri now?
Yeah, Mark Lettieri was with him. And the dude has got I saw the other day, the dude had a dumble back behind him. I was like, man. And the next time I saw him, he's playing a quad.
Mark or Corey?
Corey did.
Yeah, so his pedal's definitely going to be terrible because he doesn't know good tone.
Well, then the next day I saw him, he was playing quad Cortex.
Well.
So I was like, man, what happened here?
Well, and he played like I thought he played like a Mark bass amp too for a while.
Well, it wasn't bass, but it was one of those Mark amp ones. I think it was one of the Eric Gale signatures.
Right.
He was using that for a while. He liked that because the immediate attack.
Right.
I don't know what all he's using. I don't know that this pedal is perfectly voiced for me. I get nervous, and why I'm giving it a pass is A, I'm a simple man. I might get confused on that pedal, even as simple as it is. But B, I'm afraid his drive sounds and what my drive sounds are and the amps I use and the amps he uses, I'm not sure they're going to mix perfectly well.
You know what it sounds like to me?
Mm-mm.
You're not very optimistic about this pedal.
I'm not Optimist Prime about it.
All right.
Okay. Well, you want to go ahead and move into your main topic?
No, because you have a gasser pass.
Okay. Well, let's move into my gasser pass then. So my gasser pass today is talking about the Gibson 330.
Okay. That's the P90s.
That's the P90 loaded, fully hollow, maple and poplar body.
It's not semi-hollow?
Nope.
Okay.
It's basically the Epiphone Casino.
Oh, okay.
So it's Gibson's version of Epiphone Casino.
Okay.
And it's got the two P90s. It's got a mahogany neck, rosewood board, just kind of like you would expect to happen.
So this is the Gary Clark Jr. thing.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Have you played one of these guitars?
Nope.
I played one here about a month ago, and it surprised me so much. It was fantastic. Great guitar. I played a bunch of these Epiphone Casinos, and they were... how do I explain it?
I don't know. Words?
Yeah, I'll try that. They were inspiring in a unique, kind of poorly made and manufactured way.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they were inspiring, but they were but they were inspiring mainly because they were kind of funky and vibey because they weren't made real great.
Yeah.
And they were kind of interesting because of that.
It's kind of like when you see someone else's trash and you pick it out and you're like, I could use this because this is trash and this is my trash now. Right? I love trash.
I love trash.
I don't know what you're talking about. So, no, I thought the 330 was really cool. I actually plugged it into one of those Marshall Studios. And you wouldn't think it, but that 330 plugged in that Marshall Studio, it was the SV20, I think, which is like the Plexi version, right?
Sure.
And man, it sounded so good. It was really good. Very resonant, obviously. And the P90 sounded good. I was actually kind of on a 335 hunt that day, looking for a bunch of 335s, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. I'm probably not going to like this, because these Epiphone Casinos I haven't been a big fan of.
Right.
I was wrong. That thing was great. It blew every 335 I played out of the
Oh, it's because you're a hipster now.
No, it's not because I'm a hipster.
Yep.
But there's some 335s I like, too. It was its own animal. It really was. What's your thoughts on these 330s? Are you a fan? Is this something you're interested in?
I like Gary Clark Jr. I like his tones. I like his just sounds he can get out of that style of guitar. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested. I'm not going to pay those prices.
Yeah, and I didn't talk about it. It's $3,500 new.
I'm not paying it.
You probably find it used for in the ballpark of $2,500.
I'm not paying for it.
Okay.
Even if there's a fire.
What is it? A fire? What's that have to do with anything?
You wouldn't get it.
Okay. What does that have to do with I'm sorry, you completely threw me off. So $2,500, you're not paying for it. Is it because it's too of a niche thing for you? Is it what is it about that? Because $2,500 for a USA Gibson.
I thought it was $3,500.
It is, but I'm saying if you found one used for $2,500,
yeah,
that you're not even interested in that.
No,
really.
Honestly, I saw this topic that you were gonna bring up, and I was like, I feel lukewarm. It's like I'm sitting in my own pee.
Gosh dang.
I don't know. I'm just saying that I don't care. That's all I mean.
Okay.
I appreciate the attempt to try to decide if it's a gas or pass. It's a total pass. I don't care. It's a fully hollow. It's got P90. It's going to hum. It's going to feed back. And it's expensive. I'm out. Deal or no deal? No deal.
This is the most ridiculous episode we've ever done. Okay.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, guys. It's a gas for me. I don't know what's gotten into this guy.
I'm slap happy. That's what happens when you got a baby crying at home.
That's true. I'm going to give it a gas. I thought the guitar was incredible. The Epiphone Casinos, in kind of a pawn shop guitar kind of way, they're kind of cool. Not that interested in those, but these 330s are freaking cool.
Okay.
Whether you admit it or not.
It's not cool.
He just needs to play one. You want to go ahead and move into your main topic?
Yep, I sure do. You know why?
Why?
Demos suck. All right, here's the episode we should have made a long time ago.
Yes, we should.
We should have made this like since the beginning of time.
Yep.
So, there's a reason why we say that demos suck. All right?
It's because they suck.
It's because you can't trust them.
Nope. They're liars.
It's kind of like Ted Bundy. You just can't trust the guy.
Whoa.
They might look great, but they're not going to be nice to you.
He's the nice neighbor.
It's what they thought.
That's what they thought.
But
He wasn't. He was killing people.
He's a trickster.
In their basement.
All right. We probably shouldn't joke about that. It's actually terrible.
Yeah, maybe we should start this over.
No, it's fine. Leave it in. All right. So demos suck because you can't trust them. All right. Here's the thing. All right. Everybody plays different. My hands, his hands. My mind, his mind. My amp, his amp. My guitars, his guitars.
They get it. They get it.
You can't trust them.
Can't trust them.
And the reason why
They're liars.
is that there's so many freaking variables.
They're liars. They're liars.
Well, first of all, if it is a manufacturer demo, I don't trust it.
Nope.
And I don't mean that bad. All right. I'm sure Wampler is very trustworthy.
I actually trust Brian's.
Okay. With that caveat out. But like, what I'm saying is there's so much EQing that they can do on the recording end of things.
Well, even before EQ, where's that mic placed? What amp are they playing into? What's their signal chain getting through that pedal into the amp? There's a million factors.
So even getting past, like, let's say just have a telly through a Fender Deluxe and you play a pedal and you're trying to figure out how it's going to sound. It's not going to sound the same.
Nope.
It's really not. That's why we think demos suck.
That's why we know demos suck.
Good point. To me, it's all about comparisons. Now, when I see a comparison video,
I'm much more interested.
you know what? This sounds like this in this video. It's kind of apples to apple. Well, sort of. But it's much more realistic and it helps you understand, oh, this tone, especially if you have the pedal at home, is making this sound in the video. And here's a new pedal I'm interested in, and it has this frequency in comparison to that.
Will I like that? Will I not?
Right.
It's more mid-pushed. It's more mid-scooped. The gain is much lower. The gain is much higher. That type of stuff in comparison videos is great.
Right.
I love comparison videos for that. That's why we've done some comparison videos on this channel.
But straight up demos of just one pedal or one guitar through an amp,
No good.
it doesn't help.
No good. I love Pete Thorne's demos. I think Pete Thorne does a killer job on his demos. I think specifically back to his SDE 3000 demo he done. Well, he helped kind of design that with Boss. That demo is like unbelievable. He's done a million demos that are just fantastic. But guess what? Every time I hear him play, I'm like, man, that thing sounds great. Sounds like Pete Thorne.
Right.
Like, I hear Josh from JHS play, and I like Josh's stuff. I like his pedals. We have JHS pedals. But whenever I hear him play a demo, I always think, sounds like Josh Scott playing it.
Which is going to happen.
Which is going to happen, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we're not saying like those videos are trash and never watch them.
No, what we are saying is trying to dictate if you're going to purchase a pedal because you think that you are going to sound like that demo when you bring it home into your house or out to a gig with you. That is wrong.
It's completely wrong.
You're never going to sound like that.
Right.
Your amp is never going to sound like that amp whenever you take it out. Will it be in the ballpark and close? Hopefully,
potentially.
long as they haven't like adjusted and EQ'd everything drastically, or maybe mic'd it up silly, or who knows?
I mean, I want you to think about like when you play your rig at home and you take it to a gig, same tools, different sound.
Drastically different.
So when you hear a video online, same tools, different sound.
Yep.
Boom, roasted.
Boom, roasted.
It just, so many people want to go on different places, and we get comments all the time like, Well, we talk about gas or passes on here a lot, and just the other day we had a comment come through, and like I'm not beating up on people that are commenting. Please, by all means, comment whatever you want down below. But they're like, "Oh, this didn't do us any good because we didn't get to hear the demo of it." Well, doing a demo of it isn't going to help you anyway.
No.
Like, as much as I would love to be able to do that for you guys on every single product we ever talk about, it's not going to help you really. The grand scheme of things, the demos, you're going to hear a sound through your iPhone or through computer monitors or whatever. It's not like you're hearing it through the same speaker we are and feeling the same things. You're going to get it home and plug it into your equipment that's probably, let's be honest, it's probably different equipment. It's definitely not the same amp with the same speaker that's had the same plane on it, the same pickup wraps on your pickup. Like, it's going to be different. You plug it in, you're going to get home and be like, man, those guys lied to me. It doesn't sound like that. I mean, how many times have you plugged in a pedal after hearing a demo years before whenever we didn't realize how big of a problem this was?
Right.
You get it home, you spent $200 on this pedal. You're like, ugh.
Yeah, you're like watching Gearman Dude, and you're like, oh, this one sounded the best, right? And you get it home, you're like, what in the world happened?
But what I do appreciate about Gearman Dude is he done a lot of comparison videos early on.
He did. Especially when you had the different OCD pedals.
All those OCDs. He's had a
tube
bunch
screamers.
of stuff.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that from Gearman Dude because that's whenever I realized, and the audio in his stuff is not fantastic.
No.
But it doesn't need to be. The reason why is it's just getting us a ballpark of what the difference is between a few of these models.
Yep.
That's all you need.
That's it.
We done a speaker swap in this Fender Deluxe here a while back. You guys can check out that video if you want. But we done a comparison before and after and tried to set all the settings as close as I could. But you got to remember, like, if they tweaked a little bit of the settings on the amp in between things, or did they move the mic or anything, that's why we made marks for the mic, so we made sure it was the same spot and same place. It's,
to me, a demo online, if you're trying to make a comparison here, is kind of like getting a snapshot of a Marshall Plexi in a quad Cortex.
oh, okay.
I'm just
Okay,
saying.
yeah.
And I know people are going to hate me for that.
Yeah.
But, like, that is a snapshot, right?
Yep.
The demo is kind of a snapshot.
It is a snapshot.
It is not a true representation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's...
Now, do I think the quad Cortex would be more inspiring, right? In the grand scheme of things? Well, that's for you to decide.
Could be.
Could be.
Could be. But we're not saying quad Cortex is bad.
No, we're not.
Not for us.
We're just saying
necessarily.
it's a snapshot, just like a demo. That's
Yep.
all we're saying.
And we love comparison videos, and we plan on doing a lot more comparison videos here on this channel. I think it would be very beneficial. Got a few things in the pipeline coming.
You sound so professional. It would be very beneficial.
Well, I'm being serious. I think that's beneficial. I don't think demos are beneficial. I think demos are helpful to kind of know, like, what this pedal does in its feature set.
Right.
I think demos are great for that because some of these new pedals that come out,
Complicated.
they're complicated. And usually, which kind of makes me run off. But there's a feature set on these pedals, and I want to know what the feature set is, and I want a general idea of what it's going to sound like.
Right. General idea.
But I'm never going to think that's what I get whenever I buy it and bring it home.
Right.
If I'm looking for that, that's whenever I start these comparison videos and start listening, okay, well, let's set this Tube Screamer variant up next to a standard TS9, and let's see what the differences are. That's where you start getting into good stuff. But, yeah, demos suck. There's no doubt about it.
No, they're terrible.
And it has fooled me and made me spend a lot of money on gear that I probably shouldn't have. And some of that was probably my being just naive, I guess, to some of this whenever I was early on in guitar playing, because I was just thinking, like, oh, if I buy it, it'll just sound like this, company's demo just put out.
Yeah. The demos make you feel all warm and fuzzy.
They do, because they sound good.
They sound great.
Very rarely I hear a demo of a pedal and I think it sounds bad. But guess what? I've plugged in hundreds and hundreds of pedals in my amp and thought they sounded bad.
Right.
But you go back and listen to those demos and, man, they sounded good.
What we're saying is demos suck.
Yeah, they do.
Don't trust them.
Don't trust them.
And honestly, you don't know until you play it in person. So
No.
don't judge a book by its cover. That's maybe where we should end with that.
Yeah.
Don't judge a book by its cover because demos, they suck.
Yep. Write down below what you guys think. Do you guys agree with us? Are you guys right and do you agree with us? Or are you wrong and disagree with us? We're just wondering.
All right, we'll see you soon, guys.
See you next week. And don't forget,
Demos suck.